everyone. This is My Two Cents. Today we're revisiting the topic of feminism and how its toxicity continues to make everyone in society miserable. Ironically, I believe that the people who find themselves most unhappy because of feminism are, you guessed it, women. So feminism is making the very women it claims to help worse off. I'd like to quick say up front that as a libertarian, I fully support the right of every individual to make their own decisions regarding sex, relationships, and family, including the decisions of feminists. But, like all other decisions, I believe that you and you alone are responsible for the decisions you make and must therefore bear the consequences when they don't work out the way you thought they would. That being said, I'm offering you my 2 cents on why I think the feminist idea that women should be complete sluts and sleep with as many men as they can is helpful to no one, especially women. We'll be reviewing a video called Women Says Her Value Increases with Each Guy She, in which a middle-aged looking lady brags about all the guys she slept with, encourages young women to follow after her example, then poses some questions to women and men alike. Before we begin, I'd like to share some of the facts that have guided the decisions I've chosen to make regarding women, sex, and relationships. First, I am not interested in meaningless flings. My goal in dating is finding a woman with whom I will eventually settle down in a committed marriage relationship. Why? First, because studies have overwhelmingly shown that married people live longer, healthier lives, tend to be more financially stable, and, big surprise, tend to have happier sex lives. Second, I want to have children, and I want to provide those children with the best environment possible to help ensure they are successful. As before, data overwhelmingly shows that children raised in stable, married homes tend to turn out far better off than their counterparts who were raised in different situations. Do these studies prove it's impossible to be successful, healthy, and well off without being married? Of course not. But it does say something about those trying to argue that marriage is this antiquated idea and society would be better off to just do without it. You're free to make whatever decisions you want, but I've always found that people who make relationship decisions based solely on emotion and not on facts tend to be the people with the most unstable, unhappy relationships. Sorry, folks, but life isn't a Disney movie. It takes more than follow your heart to have happy romantic relationships. It takes work. It takes being smart. Next, I am only interested in women who have chosen to remain virgins until marriage. Why? Because studies overwhelmingly show that the more sexual partners a woman has prior to marriage, the more likely the marriage is to end in divorce. Divorce is a serious threat to men these days. It's no secret that divorce courts overwhelmingly favor women, regardless of who initiated the divorce. In fact, a friend of mine has been divorced. His ex-wife initiated the divorce against him after she cheated on him. Despite the fact that he wanted to save their marriage, they went to divorce court where she was awarded full custody of his children and 90% of his assets. Yes, you heard right. She cheated on him. She divorced him, and she walked away with his kids and most of his stuff. With a threat like that looming over my head, I'm hesitant to rush into marriage at all, much less with a woman who is statistically likely to end the marriage from the offset. This is where my biggest frustration with feminists comes in. More and more women today are buying the feminist lie that they can have as much carefree sex with as many men as they want during their 20s, but then they can just magically choose to settle down and get married once they hit 35 or so. Sorry, ladies, but that's not how it works. You're free to waste your youth like that if you want to, but it doesn't come without consequences. Let's get into the video.
Hi, this is Shahrazad. I fucked 4 men today. And I believe that the more men a woman fucks, the greater is her value.
Well, I'm glad you think so, but tell me, valuable to whom? You're certainly not valuable to any marriage-minded man, given your youth, beauty, and fertility are already well past their prime. Have you looked in the mirror lately? I doubt you're valuable to successful, wealthy players who can have their pick of the more slutty, young, attractive women running around. My guess is you're only valuable to fat, dirty, poor men who are still living in their mother's basements. And once the deed is done, well, you're not even valuable to them anymore. Does that accurately describe the 4 men you just hooked up with?
It's like the more books I read, the more languages I speak, the more dishes I've cooked, the more children I've nourished, the greater is my value. My experience, my love I've put into something increases my value.
Yeah, those things increase your value because there's a positive correlation between knowledge and experience. The more books you've read, the better the chances you'll be well informed. Well, depending on what books you read. The more experience you have cooking, the better the odds you'll be a good cook. But when it comes to the things that make a woman valuable to men, there's an inverse relationship with age. Youth, beauty, and fertility are the things that make a woman most valuable to a man, and those things peak in your early 20s. They start to drop after 30, and they rapidly drop after 35. If you want to squander your youth and beauty on men who are only interested in carefree sex, that's up to you. But no matter what, you're going to find that as you age, men will find you less and less attractive, and hence, as you age, your chances of having a meaningful relationship will become slim to none. For men, however, the inverse relationship tends to be the opposite. As a man ages, his wealth, status, and other marks that women tend to notice will only tend to increase. Those players you enjoy so much will still be able to find young, pretty women willing to hook up with them as they age, so why would they ever settle down? You, I suspect, have already discovered that the quality of men you're sleeping with is dropping pretty rapidly.
And I would like to say to the ladies, what would you do sexually? I'm reading off my Facebook thing because I just posted this, but what would you do sexually if the world didn't shame you or guilt you for enjoying it? And if you put it back on men to manage their own emotional states about your sexuality.
Well, last I checked, thanks to third wave feminism, women are being shamed less and less for acting like whores, and so they're choosing to have lots and lots of carefree sex with lots and lots of different men. Funny thing is, they hit 42, find themselves unmarried, craving a real relationship, and sobbing themselves to sleep at night in their apartment full of cats. They pick up the phone and call their mother and just lament about how, I just can't understand why there are no good men left in the world.
And men, what would you do sexually if you didn't believe you had to marry a woman or start a relationship with her just because you had sex with her? If you put it back on her to manage her own emotional state.
I'll tell you exactly what most men who take this perspective do. They have sex with as many women as they can and never dream of starting a long-term relationship. They find that they can have sex with young women well into their 50s so long as they work hard to stay in shape and financially successful. In fact, if they work hard enough on the latter, the former tends to be less important. But the funny thing is, you say women should be responsible for their own emotional state. That's why women who choose to live like whores shouldn't be complaining when they're 42 and can't find a man willing to marry them. But they don't. They cry and they moan nonstop about how there are no good men left in the world and how men need to just man up and marry them. They convince all kinds of pastors and celebrities to come to their aid, and they just can't fathom that the sexual decisions of their youth have anything to do with why they're unmarried and unhappy. Grow up. Once you've made your bed, you better be prepared to lie in it.
Sometimes I think we're in the dark ages. Thank you for listening to my video.
Dark ages, huh? Well, this is what author C.S. Lewis called chronological snobbery. The idea that old ideas are always wrong in virtue of the fact that they are old. Newsflash, folks, there are some realities that don't change no matter how much time passes. In your grandmother's generation, women understood that if they had sex with every man who came calling, they cheapened themselves and ruined any chance they had of having a meaningful relationship. However, thanks to third wave feminism, men can get as much sex as they'd like, so they don't place any value on women as individuals. Funny how it seems like the people benefiting the most from feminism are the so-called players who get all the sex they'd like at the expense of a woman's emotional and physical health. Look, ladies, if you want to have lots of carefree sex, be my guest. That's on you. However, don't come crying to me when you're 42, unmarried, childless, and unhappy. Don't come to me when you have a child out of wedlock and no money to support him. Don't come to me when you're suffering from an STD and don't have the resources to pay for your own medical treatment. You are responsible for the decisions you make. Do you want lots of carefree sex, or do you want a marriage and a family? Cry all you want, but you can't have both. That's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. You can also hit the bell to ensure you're notified every time I upload a new video. Also, if you like my channel, please consider becoming a patron so I can ensure that I have the time and resources to keep putting out content. Check out the video link in the description to see what kinds of rewards I offer for becoming a patron. You can also follow me on Twitter, minds.com, VidMe, and WordPress. Uploads are every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, so stay tuned for more videos. Before I end this video, a quick shout out to Liam Cooper, who became the first one of my followers to provide me with some fan art. Thank you, Liam. I appreciate your support.